Saturday night, Illinois continues to roll, and Bob Asmussen joins us from the Champaign News-Gazette. Bob, is it a sense of surprise, or is this kind of what Bielema thought he would be, or who they would be this year?
No, it's a miracle. Okay, he thought they would be good. I thought they'd be better, but nobody thought they'd be 6-1. Frankly, they should be 7-0. They lost at Indiana. Should never have lost that game. So they're 6-1. Should be 7-0. But yes, they're way ahead of where people thought they would be. Me particularly, but the head coach says no. I knew this was coming. Well, maybe you did, but nobody else really believed that.
What's the biggest change he's made with this team from Lovie Smith?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the defense is played at a really high level, which is odd because Lovie gained his reputation, and then that follows a defensive guy. But these guys are just doing things different. They're more aggressive. They're just making plays all over the place. They're rushing passer. They're getting turnovers. They're just really playing well. Their defensive coordinator is going to be gone soon. That's good for him. Probably not good for Illinois, but yeah, that's a big part. Another thing is offense is a lot better. This year, if you've got a new coordinator, they're doing a good Perry Lundy Jr., and they're great running back, a decent line, good quarterback transfer. So everything's better here. It's kind of, again, miracle is probably an overstatement, but it's close.
Tommy DeVito, you mentioned the quarterback change. I remember following him prior to Illinois, but just what kind of impact specifically has he made for this team?
Well, first of all, he's accurate as heck. He completes every pass. I think last week it was 13 of the first 14 or something like that. So that just gains a lot of confidence on the team. It just gives them another dimension that they haven't had in a while. It's funny because had he stayed at Syracuse, he'd be undefeated there. So I think they're 6-0 and Illinois 6-1.
Yeah.
But he had good choices. But yeah, plus he's confident. He's a good guy. He's been a joy to cover. And actually, I think you have to point it to Chase Brown first. But I think Tommy DeVito, his play this year is second to Chase Brown in terms of importance for this team.
So this is the first time since 1983 that they've beaten Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota in the same year?
Correct. That's unbelievable. I was born by then, but not by much. And I was not covering Illinois then, for sure. And that's kind of shows you how far they've come. Nebraska won't be part of that deal because obviously they haven't been in the league that long. But the Illinois is set up for a really special season. I look at it, 8 or 9 wins at a minimum right now. So it's pretty amazing given where they've been the last 5. They haven't had a winning season, guys, in 10 years. So that's kind of crazy.
I was looking at the defense and what they've done. Every single defensive stat, somebody just mentioned this to us, Bob, on the chat room. Look at the defensive stats, and they're in the top 10 among every one of them, from third down efficiency to defensive efficiency, stoppage, first downs allowed, all back and forth. What did they do?
Well, first of all, again, give Lovie a little bit of credit because he brought a lot of the guys in. Mm-hmm. So this defensive line is playing out, lights out. They're all Lovie guys. And they just matured. They're a lot better now than they were with him as freshmen. They're playing great. Keith Randolph and Johnny Newton are two of the best players in the Big Ten right now. Not just that defensive line, but I'm talking about any position. They're going to be NFL players for sure, I would think. And they're just playing at a high level. But there's not just them. It's a lot of guys. Devin Witherspoon at corner is playing great. Linebackers are playing really well. They're just doing everything right. I think they thought they would be better, but last year they made such a jump defensively. This year they're making another jump that's just kind of off the charts.
Looking down the stretch, obviously they have Michigan coming up. Do you think it's reasonable that this is a team that could be 10-2 at the end of the year?
I do. Actually, I wrote this morning. I never thought I'd be talking about Illinois going into the top 10 this year. That's just crazy. And yes, I think they can be 10-2. I think Michigan's going to be a tough challenge for Illinois, no matter where the game is, but it's up there. So now somebody said today they beat everybody, which would include Ohio State, play with the title game. They're not completely out of the playoff, which is just, again, crazy. So, yeah, I think 10-2 is reasonable. Possible. Not going to happen for sure, but it can happen.
So, Bob, I asked you earlier about Tommy DeVito, and as you mentioned, Chase Brown's really the straw that stirs the drink. He's already surpassed his rushing totals from last year, crossed the 1,000-yard mark, and we're, halfway through the season at this point. He's been downright special. How would you put into words how special he's been and how much he is that engine in this ride for the Illini?
Well, I've covered this team for 33 years. He's the best running back I've seen here. And that includes the all-time leading rusher at Illinois, Robert Holcomb. You guys might remember played for the Rams. But other than him, this guy's the best player I've seen at running back. And Rashard Mendenhall had a great couple of seasons here. This guy's playing better. And he's going to put himself in the Heisman race, which is, again, crazy. Because nobody was mentioning him preseason as the Heisman guy. Now you have to. So, yeah, he's just been special. Plus, it's a great story. He's a twin. The identical twin is on the team. He's a really good player, too, at Sydney. And they're from Canada. So it's all sorts of great fun stuff with him, too. Good guy, great player. They're all good students. It's just like you couldn't have a better story with the guy with like Chase Brown and his brother, Sydney.
Bob Asmussen, again, Champaign News-Gazette on Illinois. And what they're doing at 6-1, the one loss by 3 to Indiana on the road. Nebraska, after an off week, they put up some points, but we know they're a mess. And then, of course, Michigan State down the road, Purdue, who's right now tied with them. You know, this is a fun story. And Wisconsin has kind of run the West. Iowa's been a part of that conversation. What is kind of the talk in Champaign about what they're doing about Bret Bielema right now?
Well, they think they can have a situation here like he had in Wisconsin, where you're contending for the West title every year. They think that can happen. I think it's happening sooner than they thought. But now the question is, when does he get paid? Because they're going to have to pay him. Now, I wouldn't give him Michigan State money like they did with their coach, Mel Tucker. But I think he's going to get a nice raise. His assistants are going to get nice raises. So he's set up, and he loves it here. And think about it. Illinois gave him a chance to come back and be head coach again. And he's from the state, so it kind of worked perfect. He built a house in Champaign, huge house. I haven't seen it yet, but I've been told it's a monster. He's happy here, so I think he's the coach here if he wants to be for the next 10 years or so, till he retires and moves up to Florida, wherever those guys go.
Bob, we've touched on some of the bright spots that are glaring bright spots with DeVito and the defense and Chase Brown and all that. But what's perhaps something you've seen through this first half of the season that you feel like might come back to bite them if they don't improve it a little or correct it, what have you? What's perhaps a weakness for Illinois at the moment?
Couple things. Special teams, not really all their fault, but the kicker is hurt, and he's got a groin problem. They're using a transfer from Air Force, doing a good job, but special teams has been an issue, and depth across the board, every spot. If DeVito got hurt, they have a problem. He played last week on a sprained ankle. He's got to play. He will play. But depth across the board and kicker, special teams, kind of an issue. They'll get that fixed, but I think down the road that'll be a problem. They'll fix later. Right now, it's just get through the year, get everybody healthy. It's a great time for them to have a week off, honestly, because they all were bumped and bruised. They needed some time to get healed. I think they'll be better for Nebraska and beyond.
Bob, how much are their defensive stats also, not that they're not playing really with your defense, I mean, they're like leading the country in numerous categories, but how much also is the style of play in the Big Ten, and they haven't had and won't have to play until perhaps the championship game, Ohio State?
Oh, it helps. Definitely helps. And you're right. They're not playing. They have played a 9-6 game against Iowa. So that kind of tells you your stats are not going to be huge in that game. They came back and played really well against Minnesota this way last week. Really dominated that game. So they're, but you're right. It's partly style, and they didn't play a lot of great conference teams either. So, and they have, no Ohio State yet, no Penn State on the schedule. So they've really got a break schedule-wise, but still they're playing really well. Are they top 10 defense? No question. Are they top 2 defense? Maybe not, but they're getting there, and they're doing all the things they can do to get there. And I just think we'll see them continue to play like this as long as everybody stays healthy.
By the way, 9-6 against Iowa is a shootout. 9-6 with Iowa is a shootout. Hey, they struggle, as we know, with what they do, play good defense. Thanks for your time, Bob. Great stuff from you, and good luck going forward. The off week, get a break, and then, of course, Nebraska, then Michigan State. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Their defense